Hades is a roguelike game by Supergiant Games, who are behind such other titles like Bastion, Transistor, and Pyre, meaning they got a pretty good record of hard-hitting games. And if you haven't played those ones, go try them out right now. But today is about Hades, which is now free on Netflix, which I didn't even realize had games. I mean, obviously you'd need a Netflix subscription too. The game is now available on iOS systems, and it's kind of funny that I actually got sponsored for this video by Netflix Games after I had just covered another roguelike and mentioned this gem. I had actually meant to cover this a while ago, so I was super on board to try this version. But anyone who has played the original can plainly see it's still the same game. This title originally released back in 2020 with early access in 2018, and it still might actually be one of my favorites, if not the favorite roguelike that I've played. Unlike many other entries in the genre, Hades has a huge focus on narrative. Most other games throw you on a path and toss like 5 characters at you who all just kinda speak in vague things that YouTubers can misinterpret and turn into 3-hour-long videos. Hades has the clear objective and then tosses more and more characters at you who all have their own little arcs that you can expand and explore if you choose to. There is so much dialogue in this game, it's almost crazy. A lot of roguelikes start to have repeat dialogue fairly early on, but this game takes forever to get characters saying the same stuff. It's actually a bit ingenious since death is almost interesting in this title, since you'll be able to interact with more characters. There are even a lot of unique dialogues for certain deaths, progressions, or just various things that happen in your runs. I don't actually want to dive too deep into the story, seeing as how the narrative is one of the best parts. But the simple summary is that you play as Zag, trying to get out of the underworld because it's a little dark, a little gloomy, and as always, hey, full of dead people. What are you gonna do? But not James Woods doesn't want you to, but also kind of turns a blind eye to you repeatedly jumping out of your window. Generally, every run restart, you'll run around the house of Hades and pick up more tidbits from various characters, say hi to Dad and Night Mommy, maybe beat up a skeleton, and then hippity hop to the top of the underworld. Since it's a roguelike, death is inevitable, even if you are godlike. Early on, you start off pretty weak. Most peeps will biff it to the first mini-boss or real boss. As you progress, you'll get multiple collectibles that can be used to unlock various things. Grape juice will be used for your permanent stat upgrades, while keys can unlock more options in both stats and weapons. There is a lot to unlock in this game. You got your gemstones, which can be used to renovate your hub world and unlock various run buffs, like a fountain to heal you between worlds, nectar and ambrosia, which can be used to flirt with people who will generally reward you with even more modifiers for your runs, diamonds for the pricier renovations later on, Titan blood to upgrade your weapons, and those are just the permanent collectibles. There are obviously more that only affect your current run, which by the way are done in the traditional roguelike fashion of you enter a room, baddies try to bop you, you bop them instead, and you get a reward, yay! The reward is generally one of the gods granting you a buff to assist in your escape. These can vary, but generally focus on a modifier for you, your dodge, your cast, or special. However, you can actually sort of choose your rewards. The doors will show what lies in the room ahead, so you can plan routes around that. Sometimes you'll be sitting pretty and maybe you just want to grab some dosh or upgrade mats. Other times, maybe you're feeling weak and you need another god's blessings, or maybe you are on death's door and need a heal. There's of course even more layers of RNG shenanigans with chaos gates. They can give you strong buffs if you survive X amount of rooms with a debuff, and sometimes just little fountains for quick shopping. Your attacks depend on the weapon, but every weapon has a normal, a special, and a dodge attack that they can pull off. The weapons play pretty differently. The best example is your first unlock will be the bow, which focuses on time shots, whereas the sword you start with is just smashy smashy. The boss materials can only be unlocked once per weapon, so if you want to upgrade a lot of stuff, you're gonna need to experiment. The game will also incentivize this by making one weapon per run bring in more grape juice. The cast is you hucking a Dorito at foes, and early on it's mostly just going to be used for a finisher, but with specific buffs, you can flavor blast this bad boy to full clear a room with a couple of them. Dodging is very key in the game. Enemies will telegraph attacks right before a swipe, giving you time to leap out of the way. You can actually wind up turning your dodge into an attack with the help of certain gods, which further leans into the play how you want motif. Hades also has the God mode, which doesn't pull off the general cheat code rendition and instead grants you some buffs that get stronger the more you die. This mode was added to help people experience the story of Hades a little faster and easier, but I of course have no experience with it, being the hardcore gamer I am. On the opposite end, you can choose a hell mode file to increase the difficulty by limiting HP, heals, buffs, and increasing enemy damage. But I have no experience with this because I am a casual little casual babby gamer. Essentially, Hades has you covered for playing the type of roguelike you want to play. Everything about this game is honestly top-notch. The music in the game does a nice job of keeping you hyped without drawing too much attention away from everything else. It's also pretty thematically themed too, like obviously being on the lowest floor of the underworld, you have a lot of bass in the tracks. The voice acting is all phenomenal. Everyone's got like this almost ASMR tingliness to their voice.
Tell me something, boy. Did you enjoy the searing heat of Asphodel?
A commemorative board adorns one of the stoic walls within the lounging area.
I like Megs.
I'm not interested in having company, especially from you.
And the writing itself is gripping, dramatic, and also filled with plenty of fun little quips that are actual quips and not just, he's right behind me, isn't he? The art style is beautiful. Supergiant never misses on art, whether it's the actual in-game graphics or just the menuing and character portraits. Now, I know with sponsors, I normally get the whole, oh, this isn't salty comments, but I think it's funny because one of the reasons I never originally made a Hades side assault was because I couldn't think of a lot of bad things to counterpoint the good that I've been gushing about. Thank God I kind of moved away from that mindset. Anyways, if you've never been a big roguelike fan, I'd still say to give Hades a try. It's a great introduction to the genre, but you might also be cursed at that point because you may have already experienced peak.